All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and call us to order. I will need some help from my co-conspirators on Zoom to make any motions or anything. But we'll do introduction board, Tcm board chair.
Georgie McNamara, staff.
Holcomb, staff.
Robin Myers, staff.
Christine, staff.
Dan White, staff.
Marvin Blake, staff.
Amanda George, staff.
Roger Montero, staff.
Melinda Barton, staff.
Shannon Maloney Navarro, staff.
Lindy Willoughby, staff. Jillian Braun, staff.
Kelly board.
Kelly Logan, job one.
Hall, Southeast Enterprises.
All right, did we get everybody? Okay.
Me and Edward over talked each other, but we both said we were here.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian.
All right, Marvin, you're up.
July 20 quarterly facilities maintenance update. Thank you. We'll start with 8511. Of course, I don't have to tell anybody anywhere near in this room how hot it's been. Our main focus has been finishing up our HVAC summer tune-ups. Usually we have a couple more weeks before we get into this kind of heat wave, but we're completed. We went through, only had a report from the HVAC summer tune-ups for all of our properties is that we found some pricey repairs needing to be done on the units, and we're moving ahead with those. I don't know, it's just that point of the time, we've been waiting months for parts and certain, every resources that we have, but so far so good. I hear horror stories about buildings all over the city with no air conditioning, and I'm just thankful that we're not putting our folks and people through that stuff. And that's not good at all. Anyway, we've completed what was kind of a bid process for the roof replacement on top of this building, and I don't think we had a very productive bidding session, so we're looking into, I'm not sure where we're standing on that, but
We did receive 2 bids. Neither one of them were technically responsive to our request. I talked to our attorneys, and he suggested that we go back to both the bidders and give them an opportunity to correct their deficiencies. And I haven't done that yet, but that's in the cards.
Okay.
we had an elevator control line failure, which in layman's terms, that just means that it wouldn't go up. It would do everything but. So that was repaired. They had, it was just weird situation with that. It became interactive. And we can't have an interactive. And what I mean by interactive is you had to really just mechanically do stuff to get it to work, and that's not going to apply. It needs to be fully one button push up or down. So took care of that. And irrigation, I had a wayward guy with a weed eater tear the heck out of a few sprinkler heads, so they came and repaired those with no charge because of the damage they had caused. That's back up and running, but we're only running it at, we're just trying to maintain the foundations now and what grass we do have. The Ryan guy told us we could dump thousands and thousands of dollars worth of water on this grass and it's not going to do anything but what it's doing. So we're just trying to maintain until fall gets here and summer breaks and we can get green grass again. That's pretty well good for here. Again, 8508 went through its complete tune-up. And the canopy up front was resealed. It's thought at first it was glass, but it's not. It's a thick poly plastic. And over the years, it's just all of the seals were deteriorating and just blowing out. So we went ahead and had all that repaired. And we're going, when we get a few rains, hopefully, then we'll know if the repair took and we're able to then repair the ceiling under that canopy. It's got some paint flake and just, yeah, we'll need to get in there after we make sure that the water has gone. Dot went through a complete tune-up also. Had the canopy lights repaired, but I noticed there's some more out, so we're doing the hop, skip, and jump thing again. But we'll stay on top of it. We hired a company, Wildlife Solutions, for our solution for our wildlife at DOT.
What kind of wildlife are we?
So we're dealing with pigeons for the mainstay. And Tom's agreed to a year-long contract, so they'll give us a monthly service. It was in, I'm going to tell you all this for the reason I take this company was because after, there's only one way to get rid of a nesting pigeon, and that's to exterminate them. My problem is, what do you do with them after you exterminate them? This company takes these birds and they process them and they make bird food out of them for hawks, predatory birds, eagles, everything, because it's a meal. It's actually used. So it's not like you're chucking them in the trash can. We actually
Contributing to the circle of life.
there you go. And so we decided that that was the best way to go and take care of a problem and solve another problem and do it as ethically sound as possible.
Very good.
So that's, yeah. So Roger, I think help's coming. We're meeting down there Friday at 10 o'clock. And are you going to be there, Raj?
Safety week.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, it's a good time to go for pigeons too.
It's a perfect time. We can, if we run out of barbecue, we can offer some deep fried pigeon legs or something.
There are some squabs in there that, you know, I heard it's a delicacy. I'll introduce you to the guy because we're gonna need to do some timing as far as when they get in there. So I'll run all that by you and we'll make all that work.
Sounds good, Marvin. Thank you.
Roger, yeah, sure. We're gonna go to Blue Springs office. We clogged the disposal, really the only thing that, other than a massive weed kill that I've done around there. Back of the property, got about a 10-foot swath, and then it just drops down into a cement culvert. I mean, like an 8-foot drop. And they put new power poles in there and ran all these lines, but all of our back property was all bushy and stuff. So I eradicated all of that stuff. Looks good now. You can see the back. You can see the shopping mall from the back of the building. Rainbow 2, we had a Bradford pear removed. I wasn't sure of this law before we had this done, but you can't replant the Bradford pear.
Terrible trees.
They're just a mess. So the one next to Rainbow 2, Central Jackson County Fire Protection Agency moved a 50-foot long semi-trailer in there and just broke the world out of it. Tore the heck out of their trucks and everything too, but just so we needed to go in there and the tree was removed and stump was ground and it's a lot different over there, and the fire department really appreciates us getting taken care of. So save their equipment. We like the fire department. Right next door to the ambulance and everything. At Yuma, we have HVAC here again. The prevent was completed. Found a couple of bad fans and fan motors. Those have been repaired or scheduled for repair. Most of these repairs on the HVAC have been completed except for the coils that we can't get the parts. All the contactors and capacitors and everything, we replace them immediately, so there's no downtime. I have on here waiting for delivery, but we did get delivery of our hand washing station, 2 for Yuma and 1 for Southeast. And we're looking as soon as we're back in the action rolling, we're going to try to install them ourselves. pretty well the way we bought them, there should be plug and play. But they have sensors on them, walk-up sensors, so in auto, and we will get an electrician wiring low voltage to those sensors. That way it's a no-touch situation, and they're for 4 people each. So that'll really help them, because boy, they're in bad shape. Original equipment. So, yeah, I'm excited about getting those installed. That'll be a nice addition, and I know the folks are gonna love them. The final 2 west windows, we had some just basic windows. One was frosted, that was replaced, and the other one was leaking bad around the frame, that was replaced. So pretty well all of our window, except for some steel work at Yuma, is completed. Right, Kelly? Job on Grandview, we went through the maintenance tune up on that also. I had to pull a monster amount of vines out of the units. They just grown up inside of them. It was a hot mess. Got that taken care of. That was all part of my fence line project. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's a fence that separates our admin building and the steel guy. He's got a steel company. It's old equipment sitting around and stuff. And we had a chain link fence that went through there. We kept our side cleared, but his side grew up, and then pulled all the fence over and then grew over the top of it. And he's wanting us to go in there and clear all that out and put the fence back up. But I went to the city and they said, you don't have to have the fence there. It's up to you if you want the fence. So I have been literally trying to find our fence. I mean, it is so overgrown and buried into there. I don't know how to, without taking a tractor over on his property and just ripping into it. I don't know how to get the fence out of there. It's in bad shape. So we're just pretty well letting the growth grow and letting the fence become part of the environment. And that's where we're at with that.
We're digging it out.
No, I don't even know. I mean, it would take a lot to cut that out of there. I mean, I've been working on this thing for about 3 weeks with just different killers, and I mean, I'm slicing it into trunks and stuff and injecting it into them, and I'm killing a lot of stuff, you know, without really just eradicating that whole fence line and including his property. We're in a holding pattern. They had some rebar coming up from the parking lot. I was seeing. We got that cut off and ground down, and making sure that the snowplow doesn't hit it. And well, we don't want anybody to puncture a tire or trip or anything on it, so we ground it down to level asphalt. Now we're gonna go to the southeast now. HVAC repair was done, and there was some major repair done at southeast. We found not only some leaking coils, but a lot of contactors, fan blades, fan motors on not old units either, just attrition, you know, just being up there running constantly. So those repairs are being made or have been made. Had some minor plumbing. Lance took care of all of that. Southeast removed 3 dead trees they had toward the east side of their property, which is great. We're still waiting on the glass company to start the reseal and replacing of windows. We've paid a deposit. I don't know if Lance has brought that up to you, seeking advice as to, it's been over a year. Okay, so we're still plugging along, but I supposedly the windows are in, but it's a big thing. So our goal is to replace those windows on the clear story on the east side of Southeast building. That's still in the works. We paid a deposit, so we're ready to get that going. It'd be nice. And then Tom and I went and met with Lauren at Southeast today and got some really good clarification on this lighting upgrade that we want to do. Tom can tell you there's literally 14 or different lights hanging in that building right now. Different styles, different brightness, different everything. It's been, since it's been kind of close to the office, over the years, it's become our testing what light works best. Lauren was able to pick out what she wants, where she wants it, and given us direction on our main workshop lighting that once as maintenance free as possible, which means LED, but it needs to be dimmable, which are other circuits. So we're starting that. We have an idea of what we want to do. Now we're just going to finalize the number, the type of fixture, what it takes to dim them, where we dim them, all of that, and just start rolling with it. I'd really like to get this light project wrapped up just as soon as possible. And we were having a hard time getting a hold of our electrical contractors, but I made this miraculous phone call today, and I got all kinds of people now calling me. So I have some positive feelings that they're going to jump in and take care of it. We just have a lot of little things out there that need to be taken care of and wrapped up. And I just told them, I know that we're not one of your major money spenders, but it doesn't matter. You've been our electrical contractor now for 12 or 13 years. I know everybody's, but they've had the retirements and people moving to Arizona, the same stuff I'm hearing everywhere, but I've got some good feedback today. I think we're gonna get this all taken care of. That was Southeast. Go to the Blue Valley. Still waiting on this set of coils for this unit. It's got a hole in it. It's been a leaker. Leaks down. We shoot some fluid in it. Works for a while. This heat, we can't take it out of service. As soon as the coils get here, they have the okay to this 6 and call me up. I don't care what we do tonight. It's just one of them things. Let's get it replaced when the part gets in town. We had some drain issues, but it was kind of weird. Brian calls me, building's starting to back up, not sure, got everybody rounded up, ready to go. Started backing up better, and then when everybody got there, we think the pressure maybe pushed it on down. So we went ahead and the plumber went ahead and flushed the system. I asked Brian if he'd like the camera ran down. He said, didn't think so. They went and put their head up against the drain. They could hear the water flowing fine. And we're thinking that it may have originated in the mop sink and been pushed down. It's hard to tell, but we didn't have to run a line or anything through it, and it pushed itself out. One of the few times I've ever had one of these buildings self-clean. So I thought that was pretty cool, and the first time. The front door, lock assemblies, I got Rhodes lock and key down there. There's a rod that goes through the top that then activates all of these older full view doors with full glass in them. The locksmith was able to then take that rod and adjust it and get all of it working. Lance had got the bottom one tightened up and working and functioning, but that rod was still a problem. So that's all taken care of today. And they said the other day it wouldn't lock, and they secured it with strapping tape, like you would strap skids and stuff together, because their location calls for that. So they jumped right in, took care of that, and we were able to get it taken care of. I believe today it's finally taken care of. Good. The plumbing and the lock, DPI independence. We're going to be meeting with Rebecca Case on some issues, some fencing that we need to look at and stuff. But really, they're just general maintenance that needed, and DPI KC. The window sills were finished. They had some outstanding window sills that they needed to re-caulk, and that was taken care of. Ability KC, the roofing and flashing repair was completed. They have a step down roof. There's some flashing that's up around these somewhat windows, and they reflashed that because it was leaking through the wall and back down and dripping into the offices. So they took care of that. And that's one of the few buildings that we have that has fiberglass panels left in it. And it had to be 2 weeks ago. This lady, Darla from South Carolina, called me, and they were going to come and look at those and warranty for them if there's a warranty left. And we're talking 30-some years ago that these were installed, and most of them have been taken out because they failed. Had no idea there was a warranty or anything attached to that. So I'm gonna take them to Ability KC and see what I can get done. We've got a wall of them that the homeless have dug through over the years, and we've put metal up so they couldn't dig and get into the building. But so I'm like, come on, darling.
Right.
Next time you're in town, call me. So that's the plan for that. White Oaks and Nolan Manor. Both of their driveways are scaling and crumbling. I was down at White Oaks today and there was an existing gas line that was back into the wall. I dug the facade off at the bottom of the wall and found this piece of pipe about this long, rusted in the wall. Well, what happens is it comes and turns 90 degrees and it terminates right there, but there's all kinds of stuff around it. And it's at a depression where the water comes out of the gutter. So it's a combination, and I pulled all that apart, and I hope I got it sealed up enough that it may be one of those things that we need to go in there and do some excavation around that foundation of that house. We'll see if my fix helped it or not, but we're getting water inside that house down in a corner behind a locked cabinet with the electrical circuits located in it. So yeah, it was,
White Oak.
yes. So I went digging for it and I found what this so far, but like I said, I did everything I could to that. But we may need to dig that out. Mainly to pull that old gas pipe out of there, because if it just keeps, it's just gonna form a void in there the more that it crumbles and disappears. And like I said, I stilled the world out of it with everything I had today and put the wall back up, but wow, that's something we're really gonna have to keep monitoring.
Or just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Be great. 2 thumbs from this. But the driveways, over the years of rock salt and stuff just sitting on them, we were scaling bad. And we did, 2 years ago, I believe, we did a repair out at Nolan Manor. Believe it, it's held up pretty good, but, the first time he ran it, the guy went out there with a brand new snow blade and pretty well just cut our patches out and stuff and piled them over to the side with the snow. We took care of the deep ones, and so now we're just left with the scaling, and so it's not really a trip hazard, but it can be, and it's not going to take long for that scaling to then turn into more confidence. And so I just wanted to put that on the record, just letting them know that's going to be upcoming. And another thing is that we're having. They're telling me that the prices are fluctuating on a weekly basis now on stuff. I'm trying to get some secured bids on concrete and just stuff like that. So I don't know who to believe. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of this stuff we want to move on as soon as we can get a qualified bid for this stuff, because who knows what the prices is going to do. And they're only writing 15-day bids now. Nobody's doing 30 or 60 days anymore. And that puts a real shuffle in your shovel when you're trying to get everything worked out in 15 days and permissions. So, are there any questions from anyone?
The new sign looks fabulous.
Yes, I like that a lot. It worked out well.
Jake was supposed to be here and we were gonna surprise him and take pictures with him and by the sign that his mother-in-law's not doing well.
Yes, for those of you that haven't seen the new sign that we dedicated the building to Jake, the sign is up and it looks fabulous. So, all right. Anything?
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to quarterly service reports.
Hey, I'm gonna pull up. Let's see, start the slideshow. From the beginning, my bad, sorry, we're gonna go really fast. Here we go. All All right. Let's do everything on this one. Oh, wait, there's chat. What's that say? Oh,
It's George Mitchell, but he left, I think.
oh, okay. Okay, let's share that. All right, Melinda, you are up.
Okay,
Melinda?
all right. Yeah, sorry, I needed to get myself unmuted. Thank you, Amanda. So we are talking obviously about the Community Outreach Department. Person served, we had another busy quarter. We got 44 new referrals, which is similar to what we had for the first quarter. We had less intakes completed. However, we did get 15 additional people that had contacted us that had been made inactive from lack of contact. And so we began supporting those individuals as well. And then the average number of people supported and number of information referral calls had increased quite a bit as well. And we doubled the new referrals to the community, to community resources from last quarter. So we can go on to the next slide. For Medicaid eligibility and benefits planning, there was a slight increase of Medicaid benefits that were obtained from last quarter, which is really positive because the processing time for Medicaid applications continues to be longer than typical. The Family Support Division is really looking at ways to help this, but so that was good though, that there was an increase in the number of people that obtained Medicaid. There was a slight decrease in the referrals to benefits planning, and it's unknown why, but June was back to the typical amount. Next slide. I wanted to show you the amounts that we spent for SB 40 funded supports. It overall was the same as or similar to quarter one with all of the different categories. And so if you can go on to the next slide. So we are going to talk now about the performance objectives. So the performance objectives were on target for efficiency and service access, and one of the objectives for effectiveness. The only one that wasn't on target was the first one for effectiveness, which is the individual/best informant indicate the community outreach department staff connects them to local support services and resources. We got 86% and the target is 90%. So this is based on the monthly satisfaction surveys. We did 6 monthly satisfaction surveys. And then we actually got an annual satisfaction survey from 2021 that was included in this as well. And there was one person who indicated that they did not feel that they were adequately connected to support services and resources. When this happens, I talked to the team member that is supporting the person to see what can be done about that. And so that was done for that. You can go on to the next slide. And then for person served, satisfactions for person served, neither of these unfortunately were on target as well. On the first one, we got 85% when the target was 90% for helping people achieve their goals and address their needs. So this is based on the transfer to TCM surveys. And so people that are transferred over to TCM, we did 13 satisfaction surveys, and 11 people had indicated that we do help them achieve their goals and address their needs, but 2 people indicated that we did not. So that's why we got 85%. Again, I talked to the team members that were involved in those 2 situations to see what we can do to improve in the future. And then we also completed 1 Project STIR course. And so there were 4 participants. I was able to get a hold of 3 to see about how they felt about what they learned. And 2 of the 3 had indicated that they were happy with what they learned. One person indicated they were less than happy. And so I followed up about that situation as well. On a positive note, we did get 97% on the other stakeholders, satisfaction from other stakeholders on that performance objective. So that was based on, let me see, 87 responses from 6 different presentations that we did. So that I felt like was really positive.
Hey, Melinda.
Uh-huh.
I wondered if you could explain the purpose of the transfer to TCM surveys.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I do a survey. I call individuals after they've transferred over to TCM, approximately a month after they've transferred over, to see how their experience was with COD, to see what they found valuable, how our team members had advocated for the person, and then anything that they can improve upon. Just to see what their experience was with our department before transferring to TCM.
Great. So it's kind of you finished the community outreach program and now you're moving over to case management, usually because they have Medicaid or because they require autism project services.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, and so then I wanted to end on a really positive, fun, exciting note. We were out in the community quite a bit during this last quarter, and so we did 7 presentations. I had mentioned that we'd gotten 87 responses in the last slide. We'd gotten 87 responses from 6 presentations. We didn't get any responses on one of the presentations. So, but one of the presentations that's pictured here is the Planning Ahead for the Adult Years Caregiver Education Series presentation. That was done with Down Syndrome Innovations, and Jennifer and I participated in that with Sarah May. And then Sam Stepp, our Community Resources Coordinator, had represented ETOS at our celebration, or at the celebration of Helen Keller's birthday. That's the next slide over on the right. And that was done at the whole person. It was geared towards people who are deafblind. And then he also represented ETOS at the Accessible Sports in Greater Kansas City Block Party, which is on the bottom left, that picture. That was for different, to showcase different adaptable sports programs, and then also showcase different agencies that provide health and health supports and services. And then Jasmine McCrary and Jennifer Seidel both represented ETOS at the Kansas City Diversability Fair, which is on the lower right. That was done with the Transition Academy. And so Jennifer had done a presentation on benefits, and Jasmine talked about with families and students that are transitioning about ETOS supports and services. So we were out and about, and it was really fun to get out and talk to people in person and tell people about ETOS and all the amazing supports and services we provide.
Great. Sounds like y'all have been really busy.
Yeah, we were having fun being out.
Very good.
All right.
Is it?
Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Next is Dot. Trying to pull your face up too a little bit. Where's Roger? You ready, Roger?
Yes, sorry about that. I was trying to locate the mute button as well.
By now, would be good.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
So there we go. Intake and ridership. It's been a busy quarter, or this last quarter was busy for us. We completed a total of 24, I'm sorry, 24,093 one-way trips this quarter with 253,984 miles driven. That's a little more or a little higher compared to last quarter. We were up approximately 3,700 more trips overall and just over 36,000 more miles from last quarter. This is typical around this time of year. We're getting people coming back, warmer months. And so that's usually what's happening. But we are getting a lot of people off of our intake files. So we received a total of 11 new requests this quarter. Of those 11, 8 were actually placed. Currently, our wait list is at 18, but we're waiting on 5 confirmations. We're just waiting on start dates for 5 more. So the real number there is actually 13 on our wait list. Currently, there are 18 passengers on the wait list with 5 waiting start dates for approval. Personnel-wise, on 6/27, we hired Jason Wilborn. He joined our maintenance team. He is the first automotive intermediate technician. What that means is Jason is basically, he's coming in as a novice. But what he's doing is he's working closely with our technicians, and it's a real tedious process that will eventually get him to the point where he'll have his certifications and he'll be relied upon to complete jobs and inspections on his own. I can tell you from meeting Jason that he's ambitious. He's a hardworking kid. I say kid, I don't mean any disrespect. He's a young man, but he's ambitious, hardworking, and he has a real hunger to learn. And so he's an excellent fit. He's been doing a great job, and we're really, really happy to have him. Currently, there are 23 fixed routes. We have 2 flex and 1 advanced call. We have a total of 26 routes now. This is down 1 from last quarter. I'm only reporting this. I would typically wait because this resignation took place during this new quarter, but we had a driver resign, and we were able to incorporate that into that route and place those pieces into existing routes. And so we're getting more done currently with fewer folks. That hopefully will change soon, and we'll have an influx of more people coming back. But for now, we're trying to be as efficient as possible. Next slide, please. Which takes me to our assessment. So every April and September, we run an assessment on our routes. That's basically an overview. What we're trying to do is, we look at our routes to make sure they're operating as efficiently as possible. Each route is evaluated to ensure that we're utilizing every man hour that's being used to the fullest. We also work at making sure overlap is non-existent or at a minimum. And what we mean by overlap is 2 vehicles going into the same area and going to the same destination. That happens from time to time. It usually has something to do with scheduling or a person's the time request, but it really weighs in on efficiency. So we try to eliminate that as much as possible. And all the data has shown that we've gotten back is that we're pretty efficient right now. And again, that coincides with the fewer routes and increase in passengers. We completed a total of 117 random driver observations this quarter. Out of the 117, all were excellent, meaning there was nothing found egregious or any concerns, for the exception of 2. Of those 2, we had to suspend 2 drivers, one for purposely restricting the flow of traffic while trying to keep pace with another vehicle, with another DOT vehicle. And then the second one was for scrolling on a cell phone while driving. The act didn't warrant immediate termination, but it was really close. But we felt that we could change the behavior. Since then, that driver has resigned. Actually resigned here last week. Overall, though, what the observation showed is that we have great customer service. Our drivers are still doing a good job of communicating with passengers, interacting with them, and making them feel safe and welcome. They're just doing a great job of it. They're also doing a great job with their pre-trips and vehicle inspections. Maintenance. Our maintenance department completed a total of 214 service requests during this last quarter. 26 of those requests were agency work orders, meaning outside agencies. 118 were ETOS. We've been experiencing a high volume of vehicle breakdowns. It's associated with because of the age of the vehicles. The AC, we're experiencing a lot of AC failures. And again, that's due to the heat and the age of the vehicles. There's just really not a whole lot we can do other than, patch them, repair what we can, and get them back on the road. Our maintenance staff is currently on a heat schedule. So they're currently there from 5 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. We're trying to avoid those hotter afternoons and get those guys out of there because of the work environment that they work in. We just don't want anyone to fall ill or deal with any kind of heat exhaustion. Next slide.
There we go. Yep.
Updates. The last bullet point, I'd like to go back to that after at the end, if we can get to
The next slide.
our efficiency report.
Keep going.
Our performance objectives. So no, let's stay, if we can stay on that slide, Amanda, that would be great. So our updates, we were notified on July 13th that our METAP grant was awarded to us for 2023. It totaled $79,945. That I believe is the high, at least it's been the highest one we've gotten since I've been here. A lot of that is probably going to go to offset costs, I'm assuming, and fuel, the increase in fuel, but it's certainly going to help out and help us with our budget. The Title VI plan has been updated. It was updated on June 1st. Jake completed that before he left. We also updated the Transportation Services Title booklet that we have on our website, along with the complaint form. So all of that's been completed, updated, and we're now compliant. We've gotten no new data regarding the delivery of our 5310 vehicles from our last request from 2019 to 2020. It's the 10 transit vehicles that we have ordered. They've been ordered. They're in processing. The latest rumor, and these are just rumors that Joe and I are able to gather, is that it's the last official date I got was that we would receive them by August, by the second week of August, or at least in that time frame. Now it's suggested it's going to be closer to the end of the year. This is just manufacturers, Ford being backed up, trying to fill orders. So hopefully we'll get them sooner than that, but right now that seems to be the rumor. We've completed the 2021-2022 5310 call for projects application. It's been submitted. It was opened on June 1st and was completed and for approval and submitted on July 15th. We're requesting funding of $693,360 for 10 new E450cc buses. So basically what we're doing is we're requesting funding to replace 10 of our existing full-size buses. We feel right now it's the best opportunity to do that. Although we want to get smaller, faster, and sleeker, we still have a need for the larger vehicles. So this is, I think, our best opportunity to go ahead and replace or get 10 new ones. My hope is that I'll get at least 8. I think we'll be able to do that. The total cost of the project is $866,700. Our match is $173,340. There's not a PDF copy or version of the application available as of yet. As soon as it is, I will grab that and get that submitted to Tom and whoever else needs to see it. If we can go on, yes, go ahead.
Question, any update on the vehicles that we are purchasing for the providers?
No, I'm sorry, nothing yet. My understanding is that those orders were put in, but I haven't gotten the latest timeline from Joe.
I was curious. That's great.
Yeah.
The last I heard was September is what we were.
Yeah.
moving.
I just
Yeah.
wanted.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, so we're hoping for September. Fingers crossed. All right.
Yeah, the hope is September. Can we go down to the performance objectives? And then I'll get back to that.
We're there.
Okay, performance objectives. So we want, performance objective, maximize the number of drivers demonstrating competency in the area of safety. Our target rate is 95%. Receiving, and we do that by looking at safety training and the grades, and so we want 95% of our staff to pass with a percentage of 80% or higher. We're currently at 96.4%. We just had a test yesterday for safety week, and everyone passed except for, I believe, one. They missed an extra question, so they were required to retest, and they passed on the second round. So we're doing well there. Maximizing fleet roadworthiness. This is a tough one. We want it to be at 95%. We're experiencing a lot of issues with the older vehicles, breakdowns and such. But we're measuring the response here in having vehicles repaired either by with a direct report repair request or through pre-trip inspection, and have it done within 30 days. We're still at 100%. We're having to wait on parts, but a lot of times the maintenance is able to still get those vehicles back out on the road, even though the parts aren't in yet. They're finding parts from other, a couple of buses that are spare buses that are down. And so they're doing a great job. I can't, say more about our maintenance staff and the job they're doing out there, but it's hard. But we're still at 100%. So typically we get a turnover 3 to 4 days after a request goes in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's great.
Well
I'm sorry.
done.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's great.
Great,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, thank you. Efficiency, so we want to maximize safety by reducing number of incidents, accidents, and unsafe driving behavior. So we're looking at driver behaviors. Unfortunately, during this period, we had a total of, during this quarter, we had a total of 4 accidents. Okay, they were all minor, non-injury accidents. Of the 4, 2 were unavoidable, meaning we were either rear-ended, somebody hit us, we were at a light waiting for a light to turn. And so on 2 of those instances, we were rear-ended. One happened in April that was unavoidable, 1 in May, unavoidable. Then we had 2 in June. You know, for whatever reason, we hit the jackpot in June and we were at fault on both of these. One of our driver had a lapse in judgment and ended up rear-ending somebody at a stop sign. Again, it was minor, not a lot of damage. Actually, they just exchanged paint. The driver of the other vehicle left the scene, so there was nothing really there other than, you know, we filed a police report and did our normal routine. On 616, while merging on the I-70 near the downtown loop, one of our drivers sideswiped the truck. And that was because he failed to yield as he was merging on to I-70. So overall, I'm looking at those 2 months, that the April and May, I don't really count those accidents as part of this because it's not something that was an unsafe driving practice by one of our drivers. But with the other 2, so you're looking at 3 months for a quarter, we're at around 66%. So we fell short, obviously. We want to be at 100%. You want to be accident free, but we're at 66% there. The other performance objective is processing transportation requests within the first 30 days of being received. Want to be at 95%. Amy is still hitting that mark. Those transportation requests are being done within 2 or 3 days of coming in. So she's doing an excellent job there. Amanda, if we can go back to the updates, that's the last bullet point on there was our staff is committed to serve. I just want to say, our guys are doing a great job. They're really dedicated to providing great service. Dealing with heat, vehicle breakdowns, and the additional workload. They're still positive. They're still providing great customer service. And I think it coincides with a lot of our values and what we believe in our mission. I got just a short story about a passenger we have that for a period of time was refusing to get off at home. We'd get to her home and she was refusing to get off the bus. Every time we would arrive, she would stay on and we'd have to bring her down to DOT and call her parents, and her parents would come down and pick her up. After having to do that for 2 or 3 weeks, her dad felt like he was afraid that we were going to, terminate or suspend service. And we reassured him, of course, that we're not going to do that. But every time we brought that passenger down here, our staff would embrace her as she came in the door. Anyone that was here would go up and talk to her, sit with her, hold her hand, walk her around the facility, show her, the break room and the TV. We'd take her into dispatch and show her the big board. And staff was just so dedicated in making her feel welcome and safe. And every time her dad would come and pick her up and take her back home, her mood had changed. She seemed to be happier. She seemed to be more energetic, was interacting more with her mom and dad. And eventually the habit broke. And the dad mentioned to me that he felt it was her coming down and meeting the staff and having that rapport with them that helped her through this. So I thought that was a nice story to share with everyone. Again, our staff is dedicated. I'm proud of them and the work that we're doing, and we'll just keep pushing along. I think that's about it, Amanda. I don't have anything else. Does anybody have any questions?
The METAP grant award number. Roger, I'm not sure that we got the word to you, but we got a revision. It's okay, the number actually went up.
Ah, that's great.
The new number is 95,000.
Awesome.
Yeah, $95,745.95.
Well, there you go. Last year, I think the last VTAP application, I asked for 200,000. And this time around, I asked for 140. So next year, I'll ask for 110.
See what happens, right?
My understanding is that statewide, they added $1 million to the VTAP program.
I see.
We got a chunk.
That's good. That'll really help. I had a chance to go to their all-staff meeting a couple of weeks ago. And it was the first time they had had a meeting since COVID started because it hasn't been safe to do so. And maybe it's not safe now, I don't know, but here we all are and we're just making it work. And, they got to hear from Roger what he's trying to do to help the drivers out. So you've heard about the route consolidation. He's trying to get them back up to the 8 hours of work for everyone because we dropped it back to the guaranteed 6-hour day. So they're really, they're appreciative of that, but it's also changing their routes up a lot because they're having to try new things, figure it out, see what's going to work. So they're really sticking in there with it. And I promised that I would say that they sure would like a raise. Because inflation, et cetera.
Right.
But I've gotten about 5 emails this week from all staff saying they want raises. So,
You duly noted.
yep, noted. So I just wanted to make sure.
Roger, it was really great to see you all last month during the interviews and the process. It's always a pleasure to come out to Dot. Everybody's so welcoming and just a wonderful project you got going on there.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yeah. And Safety Week is going well?
Yes, ma'am, it is. It's tomorrow is lift operation. How to properly operate a lift manually, meaning for whatever reason, if you're not able to maneuver it using the pendulum electronically, you can go in there and use a hand pump and actually manipulate the hydraulic system of the lift and lower passengers off of the vehicle and actually load them as well. So we're going to be focused on that. Today was a tie down, which is another very important part of we always repeat these things during Safety Week, and tie down is an essential thing. Making sure everyone understands how to properly fasten a wheelchair down and how to use all the safety supports properly. So it's been a really good week, very productive, and we're looking forward to tomorrow.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you,
Thanks,
Roger.
Nope, sorry. Shannon.
Oh, we're good. I think I might propose that I should be out of a different order, not behind Roger, if that's
Right?
Roger's amazing. Everyone's amazing. So there's really no real good order to go in. As Roger ended with some amazing staff stories and their impact, I actually started with a few stories and shared them. Our first, I generally always ask the support coordination department and all the support coordination support staff, and what are some amazing stories? I know things happen and they just take them in and kind of hold those little secrets to themselves. So it's really challenging when I get them to choose which ones to share with you guys. So I will do my best to make sure each time that we have ample amount of sharing going on and not keeping our secrets and amazing stuff that goes on. So Kristen Gilgore, she's out at our Blue Springs office. And if you guys remember, this would have been the second quarter was our first quarter that we were back in-person visits, no modifications. SCs were very excited yet hesitant. We have this moving target of COVID and positive case, all the rates continue to go up. And if we have a positive case in a home, of course, we respect that. We're not going to go in. So the uncertainty around entering into the community again after essentially 2 years was pretty hesitant. But as you can see with Kristen, the 30-minute Zoom calls are now lasting an hour and a half and just talking and hanging out. And a person that might have been very quiet during a visit or minimal conversation is now just wanting to elaborate on everything and share memories from years ago, which would have never happened really through a small little box that we talk to regularly, or square, whichever you want to do it. Another young lady started calling her honeybee. So visit communicates well, been, limited visits, but just wouldn't stop sharing stories. And after every conversation was, well, honeybee, let me tell you about this. So the impact that in person and that the SCs are having now that we're back in person, although Kristen very well clearly said, yes, it's exhausting because our hour and a half visits are taking way longer, and that's not drive time, that's just sitting with someone, are exhausting, yet that's the impact, and that's the remembering of the why we're here. So that was Kristen. And then randomly we have families that love sharing exciting events, and we had a host family share Shaniqua's graduation from Blue Springs High School. A very huge success and just a time to celebrate. So they didn't make a big deal of it. They just wanted to make sure that they included their SC, Lori Gesture, and making sure that she was part of that celebration and aware of everything that Shaniqua was successful and how happy. I mean, look at her face, how excited she was. And I'm glad that they understand that sharing those events is very, very important to our SCs as well, so that they can continue to celebrate with them. So just some updates on the TCM department. We've been busy. We hired 9 new SCs over the past 3 months. For the total of the past 6 months, that's 13 new staff that we have on board. And although that's excellent and the retention and recruitment efforts have really paid off, it's the light at the end of the tunnel, but yet there's a lot of hard work. And I'm sure you will hear Lindy and all of the support departments, how much effort it takes to support this many new individuals to get them up to speed. But they're amazing. We are seeing such good individuals coming in, and the heart and desire to serve our community is spot on. It's really amazing. We had 2 SCs promote out of the role. One did leave the department to administrative assistance, and one was promoted to a teammate support coordination supervisor role. 3 at the point over the course of last quarter left ETOS. Currently at the end of June, we have a total of 55 support coordinators with 2 openings. And we were successful in recruiting 2 bilingual SCs for Team 6, which is a huge impact for our community.
Fabulous.
As far as objectives, performance objectives, we had a really good, especially with a lot of new SCs, we had a really good quarter. we were hitting targets, and when I compared first quarter to second quarter, we improved in the majority of our objectives. So with writing meaningful annual plans that support the needs, those are through assessments and reviews. Our target is 92%, and we hit at 91, just below. However, that was an improvement from 91% is an improvement from the first quarter. As far as monitoring and the implementation of residential service, so that is our in-person face-to-face visits. We were at 99%. And I wish I remembered to give you the number. It was hundreds of visits that we do every month. And that we confirm and verify that those visits actually occur. So we were at 99%, exceeding our target. Performance objective for efficiency. We measure all of our annual plans when the SCs submit them to our process through the administrative assistants. And we want to make sure that they're to the administrative assistants, that they have enough time to get reviewed, mailed out, and in an attempt to obtain the signatures prior to implementation. So we request and have a process that we submit our plans a whole entire month prior to the actual implementation date. We fell just short the second quarter, again, still an improvement from first quarter at 81%. However, I will say that 91% of those ISPs were submitted out in prior 15, so 2 weeks prior to the implementation, which is a really good percentage to meet. They just didn't meet our standard, but they still are meeting a pretty high standard at 91% prior to implementation of their plans.
Just as part of that, just with getting new staff up and running and used to doing the plans.
Yeah, that has part of it, as well as ensuring that we're running everything through a new process through our administrative assistants and tracking it appropriately and accurately. So a lot of this is ran through the administrative assistants. They have a tracker and spreadsheet, as well as one-on-one meetings with each support coordinator through their supervisor and tracking it as well that way as well.
Shannon, can I interrupt for a second too? I mean, the first is our internal due dates, but the DMH due date is the 15th. So we at 91% we're meeting the DMH due date.
Great.
Yeah, and then the logging, we have a monthly logging requirement, and we had changed the 115 in January of this year. We had changed it from 115 to 75% of build time. So direct time and hours spent with the individual or for the individual. Anyone within their first 6 months, I remove, and we're monitoring at a different method to ensure that they're obtaining the skill and quality and improving what is needed throughout their first 6 months. However, we are at 90 or 88%, just short of our 90%, that each member that is eligible meets their minimum target. There are 3 targets that we look at, depending on which role they're in. So it can get a little bit dicey, but this again has been a big improvement from first quarter as well. And then some of the information as far as service access, we receive individuals from out of county through intake, sometimes through KCRO, as well as how Melinda's reporting the transfers from COD. We have requirements that we get these assigned to a support coordinator within 2 business days. We were just shy of 90% as our target, and we hit at 85%. I will say sometimes these numbers are off by 1. So you might have 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 4. So again, we have improved on the frequency and obtaining the individuals being assigned. There was some difficulty this past quarter just because caseloads, everyone was at 40 or above, in addition to trying to support 9 new individuals. So with the grace and lots of support around us, we had the services would start, we just wouldn't get them assigned as quickly as possible, but the plans and a lot of support around that occurred, which was extremely helpful for people.
I want to interject real quick. So we had to have what is the best idea we can come up with to help the people coming over from community outreach get attention and service as quickly as they can, by someone who basically you have to write a whole plan with somebody and immediately send it through utilization review. So it's the like, oh, I want to help people and there's another one, it's a lot. So we had one SC on team one step up and say, I can do this. So she helped out by taking 3 or 4, maybe 6 people all at once to just give the rest of the department a break. And then she said, okay, yep, I'm good. Time for you guys to help out again. But that's the kind of teamwork and the spirit of, hey, she wants to give this a try and see how she can help. So that was really cool.
Great.
And she trusted that we allowed, she trusted that we knew if she said, okay, I can't take another one, that we were going to say, oh, okay, we weren't just going to keep giving you everybody. So I think the teamwork, and it did give a grace period for people to start reducing their caseloads, and she's not the only one now, but yeah, she was a huge help during that moment. Thank you for sharing that, Amanda. In addition to when individuals, so this is kind of where the SC that stepped up really did help. We have to have a planning meeting complete by any time within 30 days. We met this target this quarter at 88%, and we had everyone that we received from COD had a plan within 30 days of that assignment.
Okay. Good.
As far as satisfaction, these are through our phone call surveys, random phone call surveys. As far as the SC encourages them to advocate for themselves, we're at 96% with a target of 95. So we exceeded that expectation this past quarter. And as your support coordinator, attentive and responsive, we were at 91%, a target of 99%. And again, we're looking into those specifically as to why they don't feel they're attentive or responsive. Sometimes we find that they're not as responsive as they would like. It's not that they have met or missed a requirement. So when we do fall or have a concern that we have not provided a service to their expectation, we have support coordinator supervisors. Thankfully, QA reports this information and we track it and we follow up to ensure our customer service is still a very high quality.
Sometimes people are unsatisfied and so we switch. Happens. Yep.
We continue to recruit and work on the retention efforts. We had introduced the SC2 position. It was established, it started July 1. However, SCs were informed of it through this past quarter. And I'm sharing that just to say it was a very positive response. And you'll see it next report, but I'm gonna cheat and tell you.
Okay, good.
We did have 10 individuals that met it and did receive here in actually this past Monday. They received the C2 promotion and merit raise for meeting minimum expectations. So that was a huge success, and I think we have some very positive responses around this. Again, we went a very long dry spell of recruiting bilingual SCs, and it's fun sitting in on the interviews. However, when you don't know what they're saying, it can kind of get a little boring. But we were successful in recruiting them and had had several applicants, so that's good that the word's getting out there. As of July 1, we are slowly growing Team 8. Ashley Garrettson was promoted, so that was one of the staff that I reported on as moving out of the SC department. While we had a SC supervisor on maternity leave, she was hands-on implementing some fascinating and very quick training because she was temporarily supervising and helping out with the FMLA situation. So you'll start seeing information on Team 8 as of July 1. And our next steps and vision, I think Amanda may elaborate a little bit more than I will, but we're really looking into updating the senior SC job description, some performance measures around their additional duties, as well as the SC supervisor's rate of pay. As Amanda was saying, there's a lot of people asking, but also deserve compensation. So our focus is really with the 13 individuals. We really need to stabilize with a large group of new staff and make sure our foundation's rock solid again while we continue to slowly grow. I think one more.
Summary, yep.
Yeah, so the summary, again, we were 6 out of 8 performance objectives that were improved in second quarter versus first quarter. So that was a great thing to see while we have so many new staff. June 2022 was the 3rd best June ever in our history. Thank you, Tom, for sharing that information, and I can steal it. And then year to date of eligible SCs hitting their minimum logging target, we are at 86.4%. Again, improvement, and we start seeing peaks and valleys with new staff hiring, but we're seeing a very good maintaining and increasing of accountability. Medicaid billing, we continue to be right at 95, if not more. We range anywhere between 95 to 98%, I think the highest I've seen. As far as return on our Medicaid billing, that's how much Medicaid, how much we bill out and how much we're getting in return. And 95, 96% is an excellent return rate. And I'm happy to say that TCM is still exceeding, the revenue is still exceeding expenses as we grow. That's always a very good thing for you guys to know.
So for the year before depreciation through May, we are up $227,000.
Great.
So that's something. We'll take it, right?
Yes. Yeah. I also want to add that SC2 position just started July 1st. And
the 18th.
well, the 18th, yeah. But that one of the requirements for that promotion is that you're meeting your billing targets. And we think that that's going to really improve over the next year as people are like, I want that raise and that promotion.
Right, and hopefully we can work out to send some of that extra funding back to the staff.
Yeah, we're looking at, well, how could we do that for drivers? Like, what is a driver 2 position, you know, just beyond that, because there are some very long-term drivers who don't want to do the spare, which is really like the promotion for the drivers, because it's you're doing all kinds of different routes.
Right.
They love their route, they're reliable, they show up, you know, so how can we really recognize them? And they're a great mentor for new drivers.
Right, sure.
We really, it's not like a huge expense for, I think, the return you get of saying you're important, you're valuable, you know,
right.
So I'm hoping we can look
And we need
like that.
we need to keep good people.
Yep.
Shannon, thank you for the stories that you started with. I know that the days are probably seem longer at this point with more in-person visits, but you feel better at the end of the day. It's just like you've accomplished more.
Yes, I agree. And Amanda, you can the next slide. I think you were gonna.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, I think you might have had some. It's really just, you know, I think over the clear expectation, we have a lot of leadership development. it continue all the SC supervisors and leadership across ETOS are really continue to effectively communicate. Where from the new position that I'm in, I'm really being very intentional in communicating with individual SCs, each team, and the supervisors for team data and performance on a monthly basis. Amanda and I are meeting quarterly with the SC supervisors to really focus in on regrouping and building that rapport, our relationships, and focused forward on our mission and vision to continue all the improvement that we're seeing and amazing things that are going on. And I'm starting to see it's not fun, but I'm starting to see that performance improvement is expected, and it's not seen as a punishment anymore. It's more of a support, and the understanding of that support is fantastic to see, so that people don't just think that they're getting punished for anything. We're here to support everyone for the same mission, but those clear expectations and communication, I think we're starting to see a continuation of improvement, which is a great feeling. Sorry.
Great, Shannon. Thanks, Shannon. Sorry, I forgot the finale slide. I apologize.
No, you're fine. Not a problem. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
All right, will do. Thank you, Shannon.
Wendy.
Hi, hello, everybody.
Hello.
I get the joy of being last, well, not last, but following Roger, everybody. And so hopefully I can share as much relevant and positive information as they did. So I wanted to take a moment to show a few pictures of our trainings in action, because we do so much in such a variety of things that you don't get to see on a daily basis. So these are recent-ish trainings within the last 6 months or so. The top one is the Trauma and Supporting Individuals with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities training, or workshop, rather, that I facilitate. That's always very well attended. I think in that class there were 19 people who came. Then over on the top right is Tiffany. She's one of our nurses who does med administration training, and that was one of her classes that she did. And down in the bottom left is CPR and first aid and AED with Claudette. She's our certified CPR first aid trainer for ETOS staff, and she's going to be taking on some provider trainings as well, because Miss Tiffany up there at the top is leaving at the end of this month. She got a promotion at her full-time job, so she's moving on to bigger and better things. And then down there at the bottom right is a picture of Gentle Teaching, and you can kind of see Tracy back there in the back corner, but she always facilitates that at least once a month for anybody who in the community who comes, and then of course all of our new SCs. So that's a very, very small picture of our training in action. So there you go. So I wanted to start off with showing you what some people are saying about training for a variety of things. In response to free training, they're really appreciating that. I've had a lot of people reach out to Rita, and she's passed it on to me and to me to say how much they appreciate the fact that training is free. We've started to see an increase in the number of, and you'll see that here in a little bit, in the number of people who are enrolling and attending because it's free, which was a very nice thing to see. And then just regarding our classes and instructors, everything was perfect. That's my favorite one on all of that. These are specifically regarding provider trainings. I make sure I was adequately prepared. They just really enjoy the trainers that we have utilized, both internally and external trainers, and we get very good feedback like that often. So I wanted to share some of that. So currently we're offering all of these that we offered all of the trainings there on the left this past 6 months. Some of them were not this quarter because they're the quarters set up funny. So but they are offered on a regular basis. And we have two future offerings. I mentioned this last time. We're going to be doing support, charting the life course and person-centered supports in the fall. I'm hoping to get that on the calendar in a first go around, potentially in around October. And then I'm going to be adding a new training to the provider training and community training calendar, as well as this one is going to be on all new staff training too. This is trauma awareness. I was lucky enough to participate in a Train the Trainer through Alive and Well, which is an amazing organization in Kansas City area based out of St. Louis. But so I have a really in-depth trauma awareness training that I'm going to start presenting to anybody who's willing to come for that. So that one I'm very excited about. And then these are our numbers for training enrollment versus training attendance. As you can see, there's still more people enrolled than actually attend, but we expect that. But this quarter, there was a 10% increase in attendance overall versus the number of students who had actually enrolled. And I believe some of that is because we were able to add an evening class in, and this was the first quarter we had a weekend class. And so that did help increase the number of people who were able to attend. We are going to continue to do the later in the evening class, and the weekend class probably once a quarter or so, pending scheduling and things like that. We have to work that out. But to see a 10% increase like that was very, very nice to see. So
we were kind of freaking out, like, oh, great, we started free training and now people are going to enroll and not come. So, there's several classes that have cutoffs. And so people want the training, but it's full, it can cause a problem for CPR first aid. So that's really great to see. And I'm glad to hear about that weekend. I forgot to ask about it. It's good.
Yeah, I appreciate the flexibility because, so many agencies need that.
Yeah, and we want to be able to provide we didn't really ever have the capacity to be able to do any of those. So on the weekends or a little bit later in the evening, we didn't have consistent capacity, but we're at a point now where we have that capacity and it's being utilized. So that's really great. This is all new information. We're expanding our training to be not just for community members, but specifically for workshops and trainings for individuals who are supported or individuals with disabilities in Jackson County and their families. And so we have a survey developed that's going to be going out. The target date is August 1st. I actually just met with Dan today, and it's going to go out August 2nd. So I figure that's probably pretty good to get an idea of what kind of training needs they have or would like to see being offered, so we can get an idea of how to prioritize what trainings are offered and who we can work with. We've been lucky enough to partner with the Prosperity Center at Rockhurst University, which is a financial planning center, and they provide free financial planning and financial literacy training, along with some coaching and some employment planning and things like that for anybody who wants to access it. We're going to be partnering with them to provide some of those classes for our individuals and the families who we support. That is geared specifically for persons with disabilities. So that way it will be in a format that they will be able to digest and understand and hopefully be able to use very quickly. And we're also going to be using the Prosperity Center, or getting Prosperity Center connected with staff to provide some financial training and financial literacy classes or information to ETAS staff, because it's free and we want to just expand our partnership with them. We're going to be doing that. So then our field trainers have been busy, like Shannon. I want to say, Shannon, while they've been busy too, we kind of go so hand in hand. So what you're seeing here is a lot of, I miscounted, we have 9 new SCs. I put 8 there, but all of them currently with it, are within their 90 days. So all 8 new SCs have started within this last, or 8 or 9 of these last quarter are being supported within their 90 days. So they have lots of needs around learning the job and things like that. So most of the time right now is being spent there. And of all of the other SCs, there were 16 individual SCs who were supported, who'd been here longer than 6 months of employment. And when the way I've asked the field trainers to count this is anybody they spend more than 20-30 minutes with. So if they're just looking up information for somebody or providing them with resource, they're not getting that information. So I could guarantee that they probably helped more than that, but this is who they're spending the majority of their times with. As you can see, our target for field trainers is to spend the majority of their day providing direct support to teams and to individual SCs. And the target right now is 65%. First quarter, it was met at 80%, and the second quarter was made at 81%. I didn't write the hours down, but I think in June, each field trainer averaged approximately between 130 and 135 hours directly supporting teams. That doesn't count any of the work groups or any of those types of things that they might be on. Two of our big goals to support TCM is to help new SCs understand plans and understand the logging and billing of their time. So all field trainers, we do plan reviews within their first year, and we're looking at the same things that they look at for plan reviews after a year. But right now, our average score of all of the plans meeting the necessary requirements that are on our ISP review checklist, second quarter was 90%. The new SCs are writing plans at 90% accuracy, which is phenomenal. And this is mostly independently writing plans. Logging and billable time, our goal is to make sure that they are logging and documenting and billing their time with 90% accuracy by 90 days. The 90% accuracy is including all best practice things. So when you're looking at the quarters, second quarter, it did decrease. There were 8 SCs who were reviewed and 4 of them were within their 90 days. And the accuracy rate of those SCs was only 64.7, but that is not, most of the errors that were written in their log notes are not things that would be, need to be reimbursable to Medicaid. It was quality types of things. The reimbursable issues in log notes are significantly lower than that.
Okay.
Go ahead. One thing that we have been able to do, and I mentioned that we were going to be doing this potentially last quarter, but we have our 90-day and 6-month benchmarks. I met with everybody who had the opportunity to use them, and we revised them in June to be a Likert scale so that we could accurately collect percentages a little bit more consistently. And we began using that this month. So I don't have a whole lot of information other than that, but now I know that we can get a score of how they're doing. Now, this is a lot of information, but I wanted to share it all with you because I felt it was really important. And these are, what does the TCM as a department feel about training and field trainers? All of this, I do surveys sent to the SCs at 15 days and 45 days. And then I send the SC supervisors a little thing at the field trainers annual review to feel how they're doing. My favorite one underneath the field trainers column is the third bullet point. She's doing a great job. I hope I can be as good at my job as she is at hers. And that really is that one stuck me right in my heart because that shows that that specific field trainer is doing a fabulous job of building relationships. And we have similar comments like that for all 3 of the field trainers right now. And the big thing too is that was a trend is that they always seem to make time for me and never make me feel like I'm asking a silly question. So that was really, really nice to see.
Next.
Then there's a couple comments on there. The last 2 are from supervisors, I believe. And yes, and those two were specifically from SE supervisors, so that had very, very positive experiences. And then as it relates to trainings, very knowledgeable, lots of different ways that we present our trainings as being noticed and appreciated, makes them fun with her personality and her music. Different media keep us engaged. There's always plenty of time for questions, and material is easy to understand. One thing we try and do, and we'll continue to do, is if people don't understand the way things are written or the way something is formatted within one of our handouts or trainings, we will spend some extra time with them and readjust it so that they can understand it, because the job's not easy and we want to make sure that they understand. So I do want to share one quick story that I got from a field trainer today about a brand new SC. She's been here less than a month, about one of the things that was an aha moment for her. I did not have the time to include it here, so I'm just going to read it. It's pretty short. This SC had an aha moment when we were getting ready to do her very first ISPM monitoring visit. She had a great preparation for the meeting and was looking at tools and information that needed to be gathered from her ISP training materials. She mentioned that she felt confident in what she was going to do, but not so much in how all the things tied together. We talked and looked at the tools and reflected on how they connected with the plan throughout the life domains, and she had a breakthrough light bulb moment. Piecing the formal classroom training to a task she was going to do out in the field helped her understand why we do these visits and how important they are in maintaining the appropriate supports in the plan, as well as affecting the care that they receive. She was able to more confidently go into the visit and discuss the ladies' lives and how they were doing, and actually found some information that was old that needed to be updated in the plan. And that is exactly what we're hoping our support that our field trainers can do, is that kind of connecting of things together. And that was an example of how they could do that. So I was very pleased to see that.
Thank you.
I think that's it.
And Mark, is that it? Yep. That's okay.
Do you have any
Thank you.
questions?
No, it's great to see all the growth and further outreach that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we try.
All right. Anybody else?
Tracy's not feeling well. So we don't have
Tracy,
Tracy's
that's
with
right.
her.
Yeah, agency relations, she's gonna get that out. She said by next week. She said it.
I can't just toss in there that she has been very busy taking me around. Yeah. And then if you look at social media, Dan's been posting a lot of pictures of that, that I have gone on 15 visits to our funded providers, and 9 of them were Tracy visits with outcomes. And just anecdotally, I don't have her data, but anecdotally, I can tell you that we've got a huge difference in our providers' ability to understand the concept of outcomes and how to record them and how to track data. And so Tracy's working really, really, really hard to help some of the people who've never been CARC accredited or worked in our world, really, the helping them understand what they need to do. So, and she'll give you numbers. The light bulb goes on.
Right.
Amazing.
Yes, I've been jealous of all your visits. I want to go on some of your field trips.
You should.
Yeah, that wasn't it? Yeah.
And it's usually long.
Dan supplied a lot of the pictures for our presentation, so we really appreciate
Oh,
that.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's coming to life more. Fabulous. Any questions or follow-up from any of the board or guests on those reports?
I would just like to say how much I appreciated all of the data and all the positive comments. I thought that was that everybody did such a great job. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Teddy. They work so hard.
Yeah. We can tell. Yes.
I'll just idea of Project STIR or STIR. I think that's a really good idea, and I just wanted to know how much interest you guys have had in it.
So we are getting ready to start actually next session. It's 5 weeks. And so we're starting the first session tomorrow. And there are 7 people that are interested in this one. The peer resource specialist likes to have up to 10 people. So yeah, 5 to 10 is good. So good interest for this upcoming session.
Jillian, we've been offering it off and on, wow, 6 or 7 years. And by contracting with Lori Purdue, who's the peer resource specialist, we've really made a commitment to having it regularly offered. So I think that's really helped having Lori on board.
George, did you have something? Okay, never mind. All right, thank you all very much. Do we have any new business?
I just wanted to share that we got our new shared unit contract from the Department of Mental Health, and that's money that we get to kind of pay for services for people who do not have Medicaid waiver. And Tom, being Tom, looked at it and he had last year's to compare it to, which I don't have my files set up yet, so I don't. But anyway, he did, and he noticed that it was less, and he told you guys that story. I don't know if everybody heard it. I think you had just come in, Tammy, when you told it. But Tom, you want to share?
And, you know, we just asked the question, why did this go down? Next thing we knew, the state sent us a revised contract that the $8,000 that had disappeared from the contract, it turned out was an error, and voila. I finished the day $8,000 in the black.
Love it.
Good
Love
to ask
your
for questions.
keen eye for detail.
Yeah, I forgot to mention something. I know Melinda will talk about it more next quarter, I'm sure, but we have grant money coming in. One is $40,000 a year that'll start August 1st for community health navigator type position. So we're interviewing to actually hire someone full-time for that. So we can use that funding for that. And then we also received a $50,000 grant from the Health Forward Foundation for wellness and support advocate. So we had a great partnership with Mental Health Association of the Heartland, who supplied a staff here, Amy Wright, she was amazing. And then they didn't have the funding anymore to continue that. So we finally secured funding.
Fabulous.
So we will be moving forward with that. And then we'll be putting it in our budget for next year.
Very good.
But this will carry over for a year. So 2024 is when we'll notice the full cost.
And I mean, you want to share what that position is? Because it really filled the gap.
Sorry, it's working with people who have a dual diagnosis of intellectual disability and a mental health condition who don't have paid services, who could really easily fall through the gaps in the service system. So the idea is like a coach, peer support who can meet with you, talk with you, maybe help you with budgeting, maybe help you find some resources in the community, talk to you on the phone.
Kind of a community health worker, kind of.
Definitely, and that's what we also see our, the other health navigator type position too. So we finally are able to achieve some of our long-term goals.
Yeah, that's
with those. We're excited, right?
Great. So great new business. All right, any old business? I have a couple questions. We need to get the website updated. To reflect Georgie as the executive director and Tom and Amanda's new positions and so forth. And looks like in the not having the executive assistant role, once Robin gets up and running, if we can get minutes downloaded to the director's portion from the previous meetings.
Dan is working on redoing our entire website in the background because the way it is set up right now, you have to code it all in HTML, and Dan cannot do that. I mean, can, but it takes a very, very, very long time. So updating even the position has been a real struggle. So he's working on just pulling that page down. And then how long did you say it would take?
The goal in the immediate sense is to have a page with just Georgie and Tom and Amanda. So then that one will go up because I already have that one ready to go.
Great.
But then the long term I think that would probably take him about, I think about a week's worth of work. But rather than just take an entire week and do it straight through rebuilding the entire website, we're going to try to space it out over a couple months or something like that.
Sure, sure.
To make sure that I can sort of press.
But once that's done, then it'll be something that he can much more easily, just if something needs to be updated, just go in and do it without having to write it into code. Yeah.
The art team page on there, I think if I was to update it now, it would reflect everything we've done and just keep it, but reflect, I think that itself would take about 16 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that and then rebuild.
Yeah. Didn't realize it was such a big project, but just wanted to make sure that it hadn't been forgotten in all the transition. So very good. Thank you for working on that. Wanted to see, we've touched on it some, but had talked about a compensation study. Any word on where we're at with that?
Yeah, so, we're in the contracting phase. He sent me a contract to sign. I didn't like it and sent it back. They agreed to the changes I wanted to make and said they'd send me a new DocuSign. And I think I have to remind them that they said they would send me a new DocuSign because it's been 3 or 4 days. But we're contracting with Omni. It was one of the firms that interviewed for the chance to do our search.
Yes.
And remember, Omni did our previous salary study, which was 3 or 4 years ago. And so they should be able to update it. And it's our hope that won't be a lengthy process. Fairly short work.
Okay, very good. And where are we at with the grant funding proposal?
I need to send you guys out the calendar. We've got the, Tom, Amanda, Jake and I have met about that. We updated the calendar and we should have those applications updated and posted. I'm going to say, did we say the first week of August? I don't have it in front of me, but I'll send you guys out the calendar so you'll know where we're at on all of that.
Very good. All right, any other old business? Anything from the gallery? How about any public comment? I would just like to say thank you again to Kristen and Tom and Amanda and Georgie and everybody that put in so much effort on Jake's retirement party. That was so beautiful and fabulous. Really appreciate everybody's hard work with that. I know who to call now if I'm planning a party. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you heard it all the cats and you came up with a lot of the ideas and you heard it all the cats and I really do give you a lot of credit. I just did what you told me to do, whenever you told me to do it.
And the way that you transformed the training center, I think that was better than our other options. So, and had some cost savings for us as well. So that was
the right place to do things.
Yes, yes, definitely. Yeah, all worked out great. Okay, anything else?
Oh, there are some chats. I should check that. So. Oh, wait, well, okay. It was just correcting the number of new SCs. Okay, it's all good.
All right, well, can I have a motion to adjourn? Anybody out there with a second?
This is George. I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I
Those opposed? We will be adjourned.